I hit the floor before I ever reached the stage. One moment I was walking toward my master's degree. The next I was staring up at ceiling lights while voices blurred around me. The doctors called my parents. They never came. Lying in the ER still in my gown, my phone lit up with a tag from my sister. A smiling backyard photo captioned, "Family day without the drama." I didn't respond. Couldn't. Days later, still hooked to machines, I finally unlocked my phone. And what I saw made me realize collapsing wasn't the worst part of that day. My name is Averly Corbin, and I learned early that in my family, love came with conditions I never agreed to. I grew up in a small Willowcrest, Pennsylvania neighborhood where front porches glowed warm at night, and every holiday looked picture-perfect from the outside. Inside our house, though, I always felt like I was walking around a draft that no one else seemed to notice. My mother, Denise Corbin, built her world around my younger sister, Harper. She called her delicate, sensitive, someone who just needed a little extra. My father, Gerald, had his own script for me. "Averly, you're the dependable one. You're stronger than most." He meant it as praise, but it felt like a job description I never applied for. Whenever something needed to be fixed, solved, or absorbed quietly, it landed at my feet. I remember tying Harper's hair for school because Mom was running late again. I remember taking the blame for a shattered vase because Harper cried faster than I could explain. Her birthdays were full productions. Pink banners, cupcakes, 20 kids in the yard. Mine were quiet affairs with a small cake on a paper plate, a promise they were too tired to keep. "We'll celebrate properly next year." Next year never came. One winter when I was running a fever high enough to make the room spin, I waited on the sofa for someone to sit with me. Instead, Mom zipped Harper into her recital costume and Dad asked me to be a good sport while they rushed out the door. The house dimmed as evening settled, and I lay there listening to the heater clicking, trying not to cry, because I already knew no one would hear me. That was the rhythm of my childhood. Harper receiving softness, me receiving expectations. And somewhere in that rhythm, I learned to equate silence with strength. Leaving for college in Brighton, Massachusetts felt like stepping into air that actually moved. I worked 2 jobs, studied late nights, and built a life that belonged to me for the first time. Still, the calls from home trailed after me like a long shadow. "We're behind on the electric bill. Harper's card is maxed. Your sister needs help this month." And every time I sent what I could, sometimes what I couldn't, because that old line, "You're strong," still lived under my skin, whispering that my needs came last. Brighton also gave me people who noticed things my family never had. Jessa, the coworker who'd shove a cup of soup into my hands and tell me to stop apologizing for being tired. Miles, who frowned when I swayed during a shift change. And Dr. Langford, who didn't need more than 2 sentences from me to say, "You carry too much. Far too much." But even with all that I kept going. I kept stretching myself thinner. I kept promising I'd rest after graduation, after one more shift, after things calmed down. I didn't realize I was building toward a breaking point. Not until the day my body finally chose for me. The months leading up to graduation felt like living inside a tightening vice. Every day started before sunrise and ended long after the last train rumbled past my apartment windows. I worked full-time at the hospital, picked up weekend shifts at the cafe, and squeezed my master's coursework into whatever scraps of time were left. People told me I was impressive. I didn't feel impressive. I felt like a candle burning from both ends in the middle. The trouble at home didn't slow down. Sped up. Mom called first. "We're short on the water bill this month. Your dad's hours got cut." Few days later my phone buzzed again. "Averly. Messed up. My rent's late. Can you cover it just this once?" It was never once. Then came a car repair, a payment, a maxed out card, another emergency. Always urgent, always landing on my shoulders. Some nights I held my phone and stared at the total in my bank account, feeling the math crush me. But I always hit transfer. That same old guilt, "You're strong, Averly," kept my finger from ever saying no. My body tried to warn me something was wrong. Little warnings at first. A shake in my hands while charting patient notes. A wave of dizziness when I stood too fast. A pressure in my chest after a 12-hour shift. I blamed coffee. I blamed stress. I blamed anything but the truth. I was running on fumes. Jessa noticed before I did. "Averly, you okay? You look pale." "I'm just tired," I said. It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. One evening, after a brutal double shift, I collapsed into the break room chair and checked my phone. A notification flashed across the screen. A tag from Harper. I tapped it, expecting a meme or something random. Instead, it was a photo of my entire family gathered around a grill in our backyard. Plates of food, laughing faces, sunlight warm on everyone's skin. The caption read, "Family Day without the drama." Something inside me dipped like a floorboard giving way. Not anger. Not yet. Just a cold hollow ache. I didn't comment. I didn't ask why she tagged me. I just turned off my screen and pressed my thumb into the edge of the table until it hurt. Later that night, while walking home, the world tilted. The sidewalk swayed. My pulse hammered. I told myself it was exhaustion. I told myself it would be fine after graduation. But there was another sign. I was charting vitals in the ER when the room blurred. The numbers on the screen doubled, tripled. Miles touched my arm lightly. "Averly, you need to sit down." "I'm okay," I whispered. I wasn't. Kept pushing. Kept ignoring the signals. Kept promising myself one more week, one more shift, one more assignment, one more emergency bill. I didn't know it then, but I was counting down to the moment everything inside me would finally snap. The morning of my graduation felt unreal, like I was moving through a world made of glass. Brighton was bright and sharp that day. Sunlight bouncing off campus buildings, banners fluttering in the wind, families crowding the lawn with balloons and flowers. Everyone looked alive, excited, whole. I told myself I was fine. I smiled when classmates waved. I adjusted my gown even though my hands trembled. My heart beat too fast, too hard, like it was trying to warn me of something I refused to hear. I checked my phone for any message from home. Nothing. When the ceremony started, the dean's voice echoed across the field. Graduates rose row by row, walking toward the stage as applause rolled like a wave. I kept scanning the bleachers, left, right, top row, bottom row, searching for my family. There were empty seats, but not for me. Mine were never intended to be filled. Then my phone vibrated. A text from Mom. "Traffic is bad. We'll get there soon." Another seconds later. "Go ahead. We'll catch up." I tucked my phone away, pretending it didn't sting. "Averly Corbin." My name floated through the speakers. I stood. My knees wobbled. The stage lights blurred. I forced my feet forward. One step, two, until the world tilted hard to the side. A roar filled my ears. The grass, the chairs, the faces, they all swirled. I collapsed before I reached the first stair. Gasps erupted. Footsteps rushed toward me. Someone shouted for help. When I woke, antiseptic filled my lungs. Machines beeped in slow, steady rhythms. A warm blanket lay across my legs and an 4-needle tugged at my arm. Dr. Whitaker leaned close. "Averly, you fainted from severe exhaustion. Stress, dehydration, heart strain. You're lucky you didn't collapse somewhere alone." His words didn't frighten me. They confirmed everything I already knew. "Did my parents come?" I whispered. He hesitated. "We called several times. No one arrived." Silence revealed what love had always been in my family. Conditional. Hours later, when my hands stopped shaking, I reached for my phone. A new notification. Harper had tagged me again. My breath caught as I opened it. The same backyard. The same smiles. The same caption. "Family Day without the drama." They didn't miss my ceremony. They didn't get stuck in traffic. They chose not to come. A slow exhale left my body. Not resignation, but something shifting, cracking open. But the real breaking point hadn't happened. Not yet. Not until days later, when my strength was still failing and my phone lit up with 92 missed calls from home. The first thing I noticed was the vibration. Soft at first, then relentless, buzzing against the metal side table like it was trying to shake the room awake. I had only been home from the hospital a few hours. Still pale, still dizzy, still moving like someone whose body didn't fully trust her anymore. Brighton's evening light brushed over the stack of discharge papers beside my bed. When I finally grabbed my phone, the screen nearly blinded me. 92 missed calls. Harper. Over and over like a chant. I didn't call back. Instead I scrolled. Why aren't you answering? This is serious. Averly, pick up. You can't just disappear. We need you now. Harper is in trouble. Course. It was always Harper. Then I opened the earlier messages, and the truth sliced sharper. They hadn't called during my collapse. They hadn't called during my ER stay. They hadn't called during the silence afterward. They only cared once their problem reached my doorstep. A photo from Dad appeared. A screenshot from a bank notice. Then papers. Blurry documents. Loan. Large one. My eyes froze. My name was on it. My signature. Except it wasn't mine. Not the way I signed. Not my curves. Not my angles. An old one. From a rental form I'd filled out years ago back in Willowcrest. They'd copied it. My breath caught, but instead of spiraling panic, something startlingly steady rose in me. They forged my name. And now the bank wanted my confirmation. Without it, the loan, $64,800, would fall back on them. Their property. Their accounts. Their mess. And they knew that. I wasn't their daughter in that moment. I was leverage. I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead I texted one person. Can you come over? I need you. 20 minutes later, Jessa walked in with takeout soup and the kind of presence that steadied a collapsing world. Her eyes scanned my face, my posture, my shaking hands. What happened? I handed her my phone. She read in silence. Her jaw tightened. Averly. This is serious. They can't do this to you. This is fraud. The word hit hard. A bell ringing clear. Fraud. The thing I'd been too conditioned to name. Jessa sat beside me. We're not letting them trap you again. Not this time. She helped me open my laptop. We gathered the messages, the papers, the timeline. For the first time in my life, I didn't defend my family. I didn't excuse them. I didn't rationalize. For the first time I let the truth stand. They used me, I whispered. They always have, she replied softly. Later that night, still weak and aching, I joined a video call with a financial attorney she recommended. When he saw the documents, he sighed heavily. This is unauthorized use of your information. You don't owe them $1. What they did is illegal. Illegal. The word freed something inside me. He walked me through my options. Protections, steps, boundaries I didn't know I was allowed to have. Then he said, if they contact you again, tell them you're aware of the forgery and will not participate. Terrifying. Liberating. When the call ended, silence filled my apartment. New, clean silence. Jessa squeezed my hand. You're not alone. For the first time I believed it. The next morning, just after sunrise, my phone rang again. My parents' number. Jessa nodded at me. Speaker. Answered. Mom's voice exploded through the phone. Averly. Finally. Do you have any idea how stressed we've been? Why didn't you answer? I was in the hospital, I said calmly. Beat of silence. Then Mom cleared her throat. Well, yes, but Harper is in a crisis, and we need you to focus. There it was. The truth uncloaked. Dad's voice came next. You need to call the bank today. They won't talk to us without you. Your sister's future is on the line. I didn't flinch. Dad, you used my signature without my permission. Silence. Suffocating. Mom jumped in. We only did it because you're responsible. You can handle things better than Harper. Stop being dramatic. Dramatic. The same word used in that backyard caption while I lay in an ER bed. I swallowed. I'm not signing anything. Dad snapped. Excuse me. I'm not signing, I repeated. I'm not covering the loan. I'm not fixing this. You have to. Mom shrieked. We could lose everything. Avery, think about your family. I did, I whispered. My whole life. Dad's tone sharpened. If you don't help, we're finished. Jessa leaned toward me and whispered. Say it. I did. I spoke to an attorney. What you did is illegal. If you continue contacting me about this loan, I'll take legal action. The silence that followed felt bottomless. Then Dad growled. You're threatening us. I'm protecting myself. Mom's voice cracked, shifting from anger to pleading. We need you. Please. A year ago that would have broken me. Now it only revealed the truth. They didn't need me. They needed what I provided. I'm done being the solution to problems I didn't create, I said. I'm done being your safety net. I'm done being the strong one so Harper never has to grow up. Averly. Mom choked out. No, I said. Not anymore. Then I hit the red button. The call ended. Clean. Final. Jessa exhaled shakily. You did it. My hands trembled, not from fear but release. That afternoon I spent hours removing myself from every account, every automatic payment, every shared bill. I shut down access, reset passwords, documented everything. Each step cut another thread that had tied me to a life built on obligation. By sunset, for the first time in 27 years, I was free. I stood by my window, the city glowing under the purple sky, and whispered a truth that tasted like oxygen. I'm not their answer anymore. And as the last light slipped behind the skyline, I knew part 6 of my story wasn't just about consequences waiting for them. It was the beginning of consequences finally ending for me. Recovery didn't arrive like a miracle. Came in small, steady breaths. Therapy. Sleep. Learning how to say no without my heart racing. My body slowly forgave me for what I'd forced it to carry. News about my family reached me through distant neighbors. The loan defaulted. The bank stepped in. Harper had to face the legal consequences herself. For once, I wasn't the cleanup crew. My life in Brighton shifted into something gentler. I moved into a small studio drenched in morning light. I took a new clinical job that valued boundaries. Jessa became my emergency contact, my real family in every way that mattered. One evening, walking past blooming trees, I realized my chest felt light. I wasn't waiting for another crisis. I was finally living my own life. I sometimes think back to that day on the graduation stage. The moment my body made the decision my heart was too afraid to choose. Forced me to stop. To see the truth. To walk away. And now, standing in my own life, surrounded by people who show up without being asked, I understand clearly. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. If this story touched something in you, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you've ever rebuilt your life from the ground up, you're not alone. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next.